Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States. Very late to the party with alternatives to the September paper pumpkin kit, which is called With Love and Gratitude. I've been very busy at work. Unfortunately, I have a very demanding day job and Stampin' Up! Is just my side hustle. So that has interfered, and I have some groups that I'm part of as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I had things due for that. And I was sick for a couple of days, so lots of things have gotten in the way. But since the October kit hasn't shipped yet, I thought, okay, I still have a couple of days to get this done. So I did come up with 2 card alternatives and several packaging ideas, alternatives to the packaging that comes with the kit, or the way it comes with the kit. So I hope you like them. Let's get started. Here's this month's kit. Beautiful box that it comes in. And it makes 8 treat holders and 8 cards, 3 by 3 or 3.5, might be 3.5 by 3.5. Remember to always double check that you have the supplies that you need to make them. And of course, they're adorable the way they come, but as always, we like to provide alternatives in case there's something that you would rather have instead. For me, I was not wanting the cards to be this small. I wanted normal A2 size cards. So that was my thinking when I made this kit. So I'm going to take it out of the way and we will get started. Oh, before we do that, it does come with a Lost Lagoon ink spot and a wonderful stamp set. I love the sentiments, grateful for you, and then there's thanks and for you, and then thanks in a different, thank you and thanks. But I love this with love and gratitude and grateful for you. So we're going to use at least one of those in our cards for today. All right. So let's get started. Here are the 2 card alternatives that I designed. Again, I wanted to use that wonderful card and envelope that comes in the smaller size. I believe, like I said, it's 3.5 by 3.5, but I wanted to make it so that it was a full-size card or an E2 card. So that is what I have designed, and I will show you how to make both of them. The process is very similar. For this one, we're just using 1-inch squares. So that's what we use to make this one. For this one, the size varies a little bit, but the process of assembling them is exactly the same. So I'm going to pull this one aside and show you a little bit of both. Well, maybe we'll start with this one. So for this one, and I'm going to try it on Pool Party this time because I feel like that might be a good companion color, even though it's not listed as one in the kit. But I thought it would be a nice complement given some of the colors in that beautiful envelope. So there's my card base. I'm going to move that to the side. And then I'm going to bring in an envelope. And I'm going to show you how I cut it apart. This I find is the easiest way. You just take a little snip from each side. And we'll put it in the bottom to make it easier to line up. And then once it's open, we're just going to take off the part that's all white, like this, because we don't need that. And then I just cut, again, strips in 1 inch, and I've cut them already, so I'm not going to necessarily do that here, but cut a strip at 1 inch and then turned it to the side and cut as many 1-inch squares as I could get, which should be 3 because it is 3 3/4 inches. So there's not enough for 4, but you'll get 3 from each row. And you need 10 to do this card. And then for the other card, we need a 2-inch square for the middle, which you don't really see that much. And we need 1.5-inch squares for the corners. So I'm going to take the 2-inch square first. And let's see, that should leave me 1.5. And it does, it's a little long, so that's good. Trim it up. And then 1.5 this way. And then we'll take this and measure it at 1.5. and then 1.5 again. And one more time. And because we need 4, we're going to trim this down and square it off. Because we want to make sure we can get all our pieces from one envelope. And there is some glue there, but hopefully, let's see. Yeah, we can probably get that off. So you have your choice of having the little ridge to fold, but it's not really going to be seen. I think it'll be fine. So either that or the glue, and I think I'd rather take the glue off. So I'm going to cut it here at 1.5, and then one more time we'll use this side. And so then we have our 4 squares, and we can use this for another card, but that is how you cut those. And then for the card bases, when I cut them for the 1 inch, I just did the same thing as before. I took strips of 1 inches and then turned it and cut them at 1 inch until I had 10. For this one, the measurements are 1.5 by 1 and 2 by 1. So I'm going to start doing the same thing. I'm going to cut it at 1 inch to hopefully make the most efficient use of the cards. Cut one at 2 inches. And let's see, I think this is 1.5, and it is. And then again. And this one is 2 inches. Whoops. And so then we're all set. We have all of our strips that are going to go from just that one little strip from the card base. So now that everything's cut, we will assemble. So we may as well start with this card since it's on top. All right, so these are actually for this one. So like I said, what I did was lay them out first. So in fact, that one with the fold we'll put down here. And I was conscious of the fact that the borders this way are narrower than the ones this way, just because of the size of the card. And this one I definitely won't put down until these are down, because I found when I did my first one that it needed adjusting. So you want to lay them out. And again, I'm going to move this down to make that border at the top a little bigger. And so I know that the placement is good before I actually adhere anything. And so I did. I just played with it till I was happy with the placement, which I think I am. This one's a little crooked, but challenge, but I think that looks pretty good. I think that's going to work. And so once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to grab my Stampin' seal. And you do want to place lightly so that you have room to adjust if you need to. And actually, I'm going to do the one on the end first so that I can make sure the middle one is centered. And I'm happy with that placement, and I do like it on the pool party. I think that's a good choice. So that's the hardest part of the card, is the placement. And if you do have issues with having to pick them up and place them back again, I recommend just kind of bending them this way before you put them back down, so that you can make sure there are no edges sticking up. And if there are, you can use just a little multi-purpose liquid glue and hold them down if you need to. And so now I just use the embellishments from the kit, and these are the ones that are actually meant to be used on the packaging, but I liked the fact that they were similar to what was here, so I decided to use these on the card. So all I did was put some glue dots, and there are some that come with the kit. I put glue dots on the top of each stem, on the top leaf of each stem. to make sure that they would be held in place. And we're going to lay it about here. And I'm just going to sit it there till I know that's where I want it. This one will be a little more sideways. And then let's see how this looks here. Yes, because I want gold all over. I think I will move it just a little bit this way, maybe. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. We're going to place those down. For this one, I did use dimensionals, and they also come with the kit. And the mini dimensionals do, and I'm actually going to use my larger ones on some and the minis on some. So I want to make sure that there is enough so that nothing is going to sag. And I'm going to take the paper off and then center that. So now we're going to do some stamping. And I apologize for the little ray of light here. It's between the shade and the window, so unfortunately I can't get rid of that today. But I'm using the labels that come with the kit, since there are lots of them, and I just stamped with love and gratitude. And I'm using my Lost Lagoon ink, and like I said, that's the one that comes with the kit. And then this goes on with dimensionals too, but I just put one at each end, and I definitely use the minis for this, because I know it's going to overlap what already has dimensionals on it. So we'll put it there, and that is the front. And for the inside, we are going to stamp thank you. So actually, I still need that Lost Lagoon. I'm going to bring that back in. And if you wanted to, you could put a piece of white on the inside, but as long as it's light enough to write on, I don't worry about that. I just would rather not take that extra step. So we're going to stamp thank you. And I'm going to take the wonderful leaf and flower, I guess it's flowers, stamp that mimics the front, and we're going to stamp that over here. If you wanted to, you could also stamp it here instead, but I wouldn't do that once you have the front done. You have to do that first so that it stamps correctly, because otherwise it's not level and you may have problems. So maybe we'll do that on the other card. So that is the first one. And oh, I do like it much better with the pool party. What do you think? So, and I think we'll leave this here. I'm going to put this one up at the top, and I will just show you quickly. We'll start with the reverse, and by that I mean we'll stamp first and we'll do the inside. So obviously it's a very similar process because it's a similar card. We're going to take that thank you again, and actually I'm going to do this time and do an ombre. Just stamping it 3 times. It's a little light for that, but I think it's pretty. And then we're going to take that same wonderful stamp, and this time we will stamp it on the left. I would also use this stamp on the envelope. Make sure that's inked. Since it is so big, that's why I thought it would look good on the left rather than down here. And we'll stamp the sentiment too. So again, with love and gratitude. And of course, that is all the stamping. So I will just quickly show you how to assemble the other card. Let's bring that card base back in. Make sure it's right side up, yes. And then we're going to take our 1-inch squares that we've cut, 10 from the card base and 10 from the envelope. And the same thing, you want to lay them out And I found it was easiest to do a row and a column. So we'll do the column first, because that helps then with placement for the rest. So I'm going to start my assembly, again, just using my seal. And I'm not going to show the whole thing on camera, but I will give you the idea of how to get it done. So again, I'm pulling this off. So I'm going to bend it back this way. It makes it much easier then. And so before I set these permanently, I'm just going to kind of lay them out. So it's a little bit tedious, but I think it's worth it because it's a really, I like the look that it gives. But you could use then the bigger squares like we did on the first card if you don't want to take the time to do it this way. Bending it back, but that is the nice thing about the seal, is that it's a little forgiving, but it's not as messy as glue. And I'm going to do the rest off camera and be right back. All right, and I did want to quickly show you the envelope that I stamped using that same stamp that we used for the inside. And I've already put dimensionals and glue dots on the back since it's the same exact process as the last time. So now it's just a matter of placement. Oops, make sure it's straight. And then that is it. So that is card number 2. And let me show you again card number 1. And so 2 options for making a full-size card from the 3x3 card, 3.5x3.5 card that comes with the kit, and using the envelope and the card base. So for the packaging, I had a lot of thoughts, and I actually saw someone who kind of gave me this idea, another demonstrator, to decorate the packaging. Can't remember exactly what she decorated it for, if it was Halloween or Thanksgiving, but I did some of each. So let me show you what I've done. This is one. And for this and for this, I actually used, and they're not closed because I haven't put anything in. To close them, you just put a couple of those mini dimensionals here and then close it once they're filled. So for these, both of these, I used stamps that came with last September's kit. So let me bring those in just so that I can show you. The kit is called Spooky Treats. And so it has the trick or treat and enjoy this spooky treat, which is what I used here. And then it's got the ghost and a spider web and some bats and a spider. So I used just the spider and spider web on this one, and the Happy Halloween, the bats and the ghost on this one. For this one, this was the first one I did, so I just stamped on the front and the top flap. For this one, I stamped all the way around, which I think is a better idea. I think it looks better, but I had already, unfortunately, adhered this one closed, so I wasn't able to do that. But those are 2 that you could do using last year's kit. So if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and you want to find a way to use your old stamps, here is one, or actually 2 ideas. So I'm going to put those aside for right now because I made a couple of other ones as well. And these I'll show you how to make because the process for this one is exactly the same as for those Halloween ones. So this uses the Cottage Wreaths stamp set, and my other one uses articles from the kit. So that one same stamp and the tag and the embellishments that are meant to go on the card. So for that, I did just do the front because I wanted to make it a little cleaner and a little simpler. So I'll show you this one first because it's quicker. And I guess I'll leave it like this. I know it's hard to see, but I'm going to take a treat box. And the first thing I'm going to do is fold it, or actually is, I take it back, is stamp on the front because we just have the one stamp. So I'm going to bring in a scrap and put it underneath. because I know the stamp is longer than that section. So it's the same one we used for the last card, and I'm going to bring in Lost Lagoon again. And we're going to ink it up and then stamp right up to the top. And you can see it looks kind of splotchy, but I find that if you really press it and then even wait for it to dry, it kind of evens out a little bit. So that is all the stamping. Oh, that's right. And we have the sentiment. So we'll do that too. We're going to bring in another one of those tags. And this time we're going to use Grateful for You, because I thought this was great to use these treat boxes as placeholders if you have a Thanksgiving dinner. So I thought Grateful for You is perfect. And that is all of our stamping. So now it's just assembly. And for the assembly, the first thing we'll do is we will put on our tear and tape that comes with the kit. So you're going to put it on both of the small sides and on one of the longer sides. And I'm doing it on the back so that the front one gets folded in, and I'll show you what I mean. It really doesn't matter which long side you do though, to be honest, but you have to do both of the short sides. Then next we're gonna burnish all the sides. We're gonna fold and burnish so that when we fold it in, it will come together nicely. And again, I apologize for the little sun spot. I tried to hide it. And it's just not working today because, like I said, it's between the shade and the window, but that's all right. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are going to take off the flaps, or the paper from the flaps on the short sides first. Well, I guess it doesn't matter what order you do, but these are the flaps that are going to be folded in first. And then the longer one. And so what you're going to do is just fold the short ones in, the long one that has the tape on it, and then the other one over it. And so this is the front. Oh no, this is the back, so I guess it doesn't matter. Because what I was going to say, I'll show you in a second. And then you want to push and make sure you kind of burnish on the inside. I was thinking this flap would be folded over, but honestly, it doesn't matter. No one's really going to look at that. So, and then we fold this one. So the only thing left is to add those embellishments on the front. And I could have done it before and probably should have done it, but this is the way I did the first one. It probably is a better idea to put the embellishments on before you actually do the sealing of the bottom, but it works either way. And let me grab those and I'll show you. So I've got all three of the embellishments that I need, all three of the die cuts, I should say. And I'm just going to put seal on the back. So it's just, you can burnish them a little more easily if you do this first before you assemble the box, but you can also do it that way. That works too. We'll give the bottom a little more of a burnish, make sure that everything stays in place. And we'll do our pumpkin like that, the big one and then the small one. And I tucked it underneath. And then again, we'll burnish. And for the sentiment, we're going to do the same thing as before. Put a couple of mini dimensionals on the back, except this time I'm going to do a few more because I don't want that middle to sag. And we'll take the paper off, and then we'll put it on the top like this. Doesn't that make an adorable and elegant, I think, addition to your Thanksgiving table? Just going to make sure it's straight. So that is the first one. For the second one, again, I use the Cottage Wreath Stamp Set and Dies. And this one for sure we're going to stamp first. So knowing that this is the front and then this is the front flap. So I've got my leaf stamp from the Cottage wreath set, and you can see it's very well loved, very stained, but we're still going to be able to stamp the crushed curry and the pumpkin pie and have them come out exactly the shade that they should be. We're gonna start off with Cajun Craze. And actually the first thing that I'm gonna do before we even start stamping on that is I have a scrap of Very Vanilla, because we're gonna stamp the wreath from the top. So, and I did it in Cajun Craze, so we'll do that again. And that, of course, will be cut out. Dies that go along with the cottage wreath set, they're called the Country Wreaths dies. And I'm going to move this aside, but I'm going to keep it handy because we're going to stamp on that as well. So I basically just randomly stamped, knowing that I was going to be leaving room to stamp the other colors. And I tried to move them around a little bit. Maybe one here, and it does help to go off the edge. So actually I'm going to bring in my scrap again, because I think that looks more finished when you do that. So actually, before we finish this side, we'll do one here. The bottoms don't matter. And for the top, you have to turn it around and do it this way. So I basically did one of each color, knowing that the wreath was going to go there. And the same thing on this side. Just randomly. And maybe one down here. So now we are done with our Cajun Craze. And make sure, of course, that you clean your stamp in between. Next, we're going to do crushed curry. And the first thing I'm going to do is stamp one set of leaves on my scrap, because we're going to use those to decorate the wreath. Again, just kind of random. And remembering the back. Next we have Cherry Cobbler, because I am originally a New England girl and I do miss the deep reds from New England. We're going to stamp one here. And you can't always go back. I did do that on my first one. I went back and added a couple where I thought they were needed once it was all finished. And even though I got it a little smudge there, I also know that's on the inside and it's not going to show. And that's my fault for going so fast. Time to slow down. Last but not least, we're going to bring in pumpkin pie. And again, first thing I'm going to do is stamp another set of leaves here, because those are all going to be cut out, as I said. I think I'm not going to worry about this, since again it's going to be folded on the inside, and we'll see what this looks like. We may add just a little bit. We'll see what it looks like when it's closed before I actually adhere everything together. But oh, and then we've got this. That's right. One more. And then I believe I did in pumpkin pie. Yes, while we've got the pumpkin pie one more time, we are going to do the sentiment. And I used the smaller label on this one, and I used the word grateful comes from the Cottage Wreaths stamp set, but this time I'm going to use the one from the kit that says grateful for you, and let's see if it will fit on that smaller label. Oh, I think that will just fit, so we're going to use the smaller one, because I don't want to use all of the large labels. I only have a few left. I want to make sure to use them all up. So we'll pop that out. And we'll see what the box looks like and decide if we need to add any more stamps. So we'll leave that here. And again, we're gonna fold on all the score lines. All right, I think that looks pretty good on the front. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave it the way it is, and I'm not gonna worry too much about the sides or the back. But of course we need our tear and tape on 3 of the sides before we put it together. So again, one on one of the long sides and then a strip on both of the short sides. And I think I'll use my take your pick tool this time to take off the paper. And then we'll assemble like we did before. Shorter flaps in first. Then the flap with the glue, the tape. And you kind of square it off. And then we'll flip it over. Oops, that got moved a little bit. Let's try that again. And it goes this way. And it's moving as I go to turn it over here. There we go. And burnish it on the inside. And so now all we have is to finish our wreath. So I'm going to cut out the wreath parts and be right back. All right, so we are going to assemble the wreath, and I think for this one I put the leaves on first and then I put the sentiment and then I moved some of the leaves to the top. So I think this time, and I placed the sentiment with dimensionals, which I think I'm not going to do this time. We're just going to put a couple of glue dots at each end to adhere it to the wreath. Like this, maybe down here, and then we will assemble the leaves again so that they overlap some of the tag, and I just put them in the same direction that the leaves are, and basically trying to alternate the leaves so that I didn't use the same one in any together. So instead of using this one where I just used one, I'm taking one of the other ones. Not that it really matters. And using the same pattern of the colors. So pumpkin, then curry, then cobbler, pumpkin, curry, and then cobbler. All right, and then to put it on the card, I actually used the tear and tape that comes with the kit, and I used it only on the top because only that part is going to be adhered to the box. Actually, I'm going to tuck that last end in. I don't want it to be that long. So I'm going to tuck it this way. And there is box number 4. So again, the process that I used to make this one is exactly the same one that I used to make these two, just taking one stamp at a time and stamping, in this case, all the way around, in this case, only on the front, but if I had it to do over, I would do it all the way around. So I hope you like them. Again, those are the 4 boxes. Sorry, it's hard to show them on camera. Or those are 3 of the 4 boxes. This, of course, is the other one. Oops. So hopefully you can see those. It's a little bit challenging. And I hope you like them. Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate you watching every single month. I do again apologize for taking so long to get these alternatives, but hopefully if you're like me, you're just getting around to it now, and there are some ideas here that you can use. I promise I will be quicker next month because this was a record late one. It doesn't usually happen that way. Usually I am on it as soon as the kit comes. So hopefully in about a week or so, you will see another video with the October kit alternatives. So again, thanks for joining me. Please leave me some love in the comments and some likes. I really appreciate that too. And remember to check out my other videos, cards, scrapbook pages, tips, techniques, beginner videos, home decor items, lots there for you to love. And I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.